The diner, a small place nestled on a quiet street in the outskirts of Oak Ridge, was the kind of spot where everyone knew each other, where gossip mixed with the smell of bacon and brewed coffee. The tiles were chipped and the booths had been patched up too many times to count, but there was something comforting about it. It had been Ella's safe space for the last few years, the place where she worked long shifts to pay her way through high school, to make ends meet after her father passed away and her mother struggled with her mental health. Ella was 17, and life hadn't been easy, but she survived by staying quiet, keeping her head down, and learning that some battles weren't worth fighting. That afternoon, everything seemed the same as usual until she saw her walk in, Veronica Kane. Tall, glamorous, the kind of woman who owned the room without speaking a word. She strutted in with her oversized sunglasses perched on her nose, her heels clicking against the floor with an unnerving confidence. Veronica had a reputation in Oak Ridge. She was powerful, rich, connected, and often above the law. With her were two teenagers, clearly her protégés, whose posture screamed entitlement. They sat in a booth, their conversation too loud for a place this small. Ella had learned long ago how to serve people like Veronica. Avoid eye contact, smile when necessary, and keep everything as perfect as possible. Veronica's complaints started as soon as Ella reached the table. The iced tea wasn't cold enough, the napkins were wrinkled, and the menu was too boring. Ella nodded at every remark, her hands shaking slightly as she took the orders, trying to hide the growing pit in her stomach. She wanted to escape from it all, but this was her job. Her life depended on it. Then came the tipping point. Ella accidentally brushed against Veronica's bag while refilling the water. It was an innocent mistake, but Veronica's reaction was anything but. She snapped, her voice sharp, loud enough for other customers to hear. "Do you have any idea how much that purse costs? It's worth more than everything you'll make in a year, girl." The laughter from the teenagers stung more than the words themselves. Ella's face burned with shame. She apologized quickly and left, her heart pounding, but something told her it wasn't over. As she walked through the kitchen, one of Veronica's teenagers, Jared, the bigger one, stepped in front of her. He looked at her up and down like she was a nuisance, not a person. "You think you're better than us?" he sneered, blocking her way. Ella's mind raced. She could feel the heat rising in her chest, her pulse quickening, but she didn't speak, not even when Jared shoved her out of his way, causing her to stumble and spill a cup of coffee on her uniform. The sharp sting on her arm made her wince, but there was no time to react before she was backed into a corner by the second boy, Tyson. Jared raised a fist, but before he could strike, something changed. The door of the diner chimed. The man who walked in wasn't dressed in a suit, wasn't making any noise, but his presence filled the room in a way that made everyone pause. He was middle-aged, wearing a simple jacket and glasses, his lines with years of experience. He wasn't tall or intimidating in the traditional sense, but when his eyes met Ella's, she felt a sense of calm spread through her. Ella barely noticed when Jared backed off, still grumbling, his arrogance fading. The man's gaze never left them. His voice when he spoke was quiet but firm. "Step away from her," he said, his tone like a command from someone used to being obeyed. Veronica's eyes widened. She recognized him immediately. "Judge Mark Harlan?" she said, her voice unsteady. "What is this?" Judge Mark Harlan was one of the most respected and feared figures in Oak Ridge, a man whose decisions had sent influential people to prison, whose words carried the weight of justice wherever he went. He wasn't here to make a scene. He was here to make it right. Veronica tried to recover. "There's no need for this, Judge. It's a misunderstanding. Just kids being kids." Her voice was high, almost desperate. Judge Harlan turned to her slowly, the calmness in his expression belying the fury behind his words. "An assault isn't a joke, Veronica. Neither is the cruelty you've been spreading here." His eyes shifted back to Ella, giving her a nod of reassurance. The tension in the diner was thick. No one moved, no one spoke, until the sound of sirens could be heard in the distance. The manager, who had been watching in silence, rushed to the scene, phone in hand. The police arrived moments later, and the situation began to unravel in front of Ella's eyes. The video footage from the cameras was clear. The witnesses had spoken. The boys were arrested, their bravado shattered by the quiet authority of Judge Harlan, and Veronica's empire, the one built on intimidation and fear, began to crumble. Weeks later, Ella stood in a courtroom, her hands shaking again, but this time not from fear. Judge Harlan stood beside her, his voice soft but powerful as he addressed the room. Justice doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it comes quietly, but it's no less powerful. Veronica Kane was led away in handcuffs that day, her influence shattered, her reign of cruelty broken. As Ella left the courthouse, she felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She had learned something in those weeks, the power of standing up, of finding your voice, even when it's hard. And though the diner still smelled of coffee and safety, it also smelled like something else now: justice. And sometimes that's enough.